Good morning students. This is your tutor Deepa Kohli and today we are going to study about photosynthesis and respiration, which is the chapter number 4 for class 7 ICSE biology. Students, photosynthesis and respiration being two different concepts, they will be taught in separate sessions. For today's class, I will be teaching you photosynthesis. That means we will learn about photosynthesis. Let us first see what are the various concepts contained in this module. What are the topics that we are going to learn in this chapter. First is an introduction to photosynthesis, then raw materials required for photosynthesis, process of photosynthesis, stomata, structure and role in photosynthesis, adaptation in leaves to perform photosynthesis, how does photosynthesis actually occur in plants, what are the various factors affecting photosynthesis, end products of photosynthesis, and what is the fate of these end products of photosynthesis. Then we'll see utilization of glucose synthesized and how it is transported within the plant body. Then it is followed by significance of photosynthesis, children, and finally we will do some experiments to demonstrate the necessity of various factors of photosynthesis. For today's class, children, we will be doing the first three topics, that is an introduction to photosynthesis, raw materials required for photosynthesis and process of photosynthesis. Let us begin, children. An introduction to photosynthesis. All living organisms on planet Earth need food to grow and energy to work. We all know this very well, children, that we need energy to do work, and the source of this energy is the food we consume, we eat. Not only we, all living organisms on planet Earth, they need food so that they can get energy to do their work, to grow, to develop, and so on. So on the basis of mode of nutrition, the living organisms, they are classified into two groups, and these two groups are autotrophs and heterotrophs. Let me first explain you, children, that what is the meaning of mode of nutrition. What does this word mean? Children, mode of nutrition means the way a particular living organism consumes or takes its food. That means whether that organism prepare its own food or it gets its food from outside, from somewhere else. This is the meaning of mode of nutrition. So according to this, based on this mode of nutrition, we have two groups of living organisms. One is autotrophs and the other is heterotrophs. Now, if we see etymologically, children, the word autotrophs is composed of two words. One is auto and the other is trophs. Auto means self and trophs means nourishment. So basically, autotrophs means organisms, the living organisms that can perform self-nourishment. So autotrophs are living organisms that can prepare their own food, and if I ask you for the example of an autotroph, your answer should be very quick, that all green plants on earth, they come under autotrophs. Why so? because they are the only living organisms on planet Earth which bear chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green color pigment that is present in the chloroplast of the plant cell, and not everywhere, only in the green parts of the plant body, such as young stem, young branches, and especially the leaves. So that is why, due to the presence of chlorophyll, they are capable of preparing their own food, and this process of preparing their own food is photosynthesis. Next group of living organism is heterotrophs. Children, all other living organisms that cannot prepare their own food, they all are known as heterotrophs. So it's very simple. Example of autotroph. Autotrophs is all green plants on earth, and heterotrophs other than green plants. All living organisms, they come under heterotrophs. Now next we'll see the definition of photosynthesis, students. The term photosynthesis means combining by light. Again, if we see etymologically, means what? If we split the word photosynthesis, then we get two words. One is photo and the other is synthesis. Students, photo means light and synthesis means combining or joining. So, during photosynthesis, water is combined with carbon dioxide in presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll. That is why we are calling this process of manufacture or synthesis of food in green plants as photosynthesis. That means synthesis of something, that something is your glucose, which is the simplest form of food, by the green plants in presence of sunlight, actually using the solar energy, because for synthesizing their food, they also need a fuel, they also need some source of external energy, and that energy they get it from the sunlight, that is called the solar energy, students. And we also say, it's a very famous saying, that the solar energy is the ultimate source of energy, and in the similar terms we also say that photosynthesis is the ultimate source of food. So we got two statements here which are universal truth. One is solar energy is the ultimate source of energy, and photosynthesis is the ultimate source of food. But children, photosynthesis cannot take place if there is no solar energy. That is why solar energy is very, very important. So in simple words, photosynthesis is the process in which green plants prepare their own food using carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll. I hope you all have understood, children. Now next is raw materials required for photosynthesis. It was very clear from the definition itself we have done just now that carbon dioxide and water, these are the main raw materials required for photosynthesis, students, and along with them chlorophyll and solar energy, they are actually factors which play a very crucial role during the process of photosynthesis. For class 7, we will remember, like according to the ICSE syllabus, we will remember that there are 4 raw materials for photosynthesis, that is water, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll and energy. And where does the plant get water from? It gets the water from the soil. How does it get it? By the process of absorption by roots. Then carbon dioxide from the air. Chlorophyll, it is already present in the leaf cells. Where in the leaf cells? In the chloroplast of the leaf cells. There are so many leaves, all are green in color. In this diagram, even the stem is young, the branches are young. That means the entire plant, that is the aerial part of the plant, in this case is capable of performing photosynthesis. One thing I would like to explain here, children, that how does the carbon dioxide enter the leaves? The carbon dioxide enters the leaves through the minute pores which are present on the surface of leaves, and these minute pores are what, children? These are known as stomata. Stomata are more in number on the lower surface of the leaves than on the upper surface of the leaves. The lower surface of the leaves is known as dorsal surface, and upper surface of the leaves is known as ventral surface. Dorsal surface, ventral surface. I hope it is clear, children. Students, next is process of photosynthesis. In order to understand the process of photosynthesis, first we will study about the external morphology and internal morphology or anatomy of leaf. Anatomy means what, children? Study of internal structure of a given tissue or organ. Now, first of all, just look at this diagram. This is a simple leaf, children. What can you see in this leaf? You can see that this leaf is composed of a petiole which runs through the leaf in the form of the midvein. This midvein further give rise to secondary and tertiary vein. Inside this, children, two vascular tissues are present. What are those vascular tissues? Xylem and phloem. Now, xylem supplies water to the leaf. For what? For the process of photosynthesis. And after the process of photosynthesis gets over, the end product is glucose and oxygen. The phloem tissue which is present in these veins, whether they are secondary or they are tertiary or it is a main vein, whatever it is, or petiole, through the phloem present in these structures, the food is transported from the stem or through the stem to the different parts of the plant body. Now, this is the upper surface of the leaf, children. This one is the upper surface of the leaf which is in direct contact with the sunlight, and this is the lower surface which is hidden in this diagram, we cannot see. Now, on the top surface or the upper surface of the leaves, there are fewer number of stomata, but on the lower surface of the leaf there are numerous stomata. Now, what are stomata, children? Stomata are minute pores which are present on the surface of leaf. They are more in numbers on the lower surface of the leaf as compared to the upper surface. Now, next is, children, the internal structure of a leaf. This is the upper portion of the leaf which we have seen here. This portion which is called the leaf lamina. Okay. Now, this is covered by a thin layer of waxy substance, or we can call it a waxy layer. The name of this layer is cuticle. So, the outermost covering of a leaf is cuticle. For human beings and other animals, the outermost covering is skin. What is the function of a skin? Protection. Similarly, here also cuticle, which is the outermost layer, will protect the leaf. Not only that, we have some other functions also, like it forms a waxy waterproof layer. Okay. The next layer is upper epidermis. Since we are studying first the upper portion of the leaf, in this diagram we can see that this layer of cells, okay, these cells roughly oval, they form the upper epidermis layer. And what are these cells called? These cells are called epidermal cells. So this forms the second layer of leaf. Next to the upper epidermis, there is a very large layer of cells. This layer is called mesophyll layer. Okay, this layer is called mesophyll layer. Mesophyll layer is further divided into pellicid mesophyll layer and spongy mesophyll layer. Pellicid mesophyll layer is made up of pellicid cells or pellicid mesophyll cells, and the spongy mesophyll layer is made up of spongy mesophyll cells. Children, what you can notice here, what is the difference between the both these layers, that is layer number 3 pellicid mesophyll layer and layer number 4 spongy mesophyll layer? Children, it is very clear from the diagram that the intercellular spaces are more in case of spongy mesophyll layer as compared to the pellicid mesophyll layer, isn't it? And what is the function of these intercellular spaces or the air spaces? Children, they trap the carbon dioxide, oxygen or water vapor molecules temporarily. Okay, so they form an area, a place where the carbon dioxide or oxygen or water vapor can remain temporarily during the process of photosynthesis and respiration. Next to the spongy mesophyll layer, we have the lower epidermis, which forms the fifth layer of the leaf. And if we see from the lower side, again we will say first cuticle and then second lower epidermis. So don't get confused, here we have started from the top. So first is cuticle, then is upper epidermis, third is pellicid mesophyll layer, fourth is spongy mesophyll layer, and fifth is lower epidermis. Lower epidermis, as I told just now, is followed by again the lower cuticle layer. In between, children, in between you can see the epidermal cells of the lower epidermis. There are gaps, there are holes, and these holes are called what? Stomata. Singular is stoma. This is the region from where the carbon dioxide enters, isn't it, and is used in the process of photosynthesis, and whatever oxygen is produced during the photosynthesis, that will also be released out of the leaf into the atmosphere from here only. Which gas, children? Oxygen gas. And during transpiration, water vapor also escapes out through the stomata. What is transpiration, children? Loss of water from the aerial parts of the leaves in the form of water vapor. So you have understood, I think, that how water is transported by the xylem located in the veins of the leaf, and how food is transported back to the different parts of the body from the leaf, and how the carbon dioxide enters the leaf, how oxygen gas leaves the leaf. That means supply of water and exchange of gases. You have completely understood till here. Now next is what, children? Next we will understand the actual thing, the actual phenomena that occurs. As soon as the light falls on the surface of the leaf is green in color due to the presence of chlorophyll. And where is this chlorophyll present, children? This chlorophyll is present in the kitchen of the leaf cells, that is the chloroplast. So once the sunlight falls, the chloroplast, they become activated and chlorophyll starts tapping the solar energy. So after getting the solar energy, they begin their process of photosynthesis. They combine 6 molecules of carbon dioxide with 6 molecules of water. And what do they produce? They produce glucose. What is the formula of glucose, children? The formula of glucose is C6H12 O6. And along with glucose, what is formed? Along with glucose, something else is also formed. That is 6 molecules of oxygen gas, which is released through the stomata. Just before some time I have shown you. Now what did I leave here? I have left something very important, students. We have to write here sunlight, and here we should always mention chlorophyll. Otherwise your equation for photosynthesis will be incomplete. I hope there is no doubt, children. Next is, this is the overall chemical equation for photosynthesis, children. I have already shown you in the previous slide. That is 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combines with 6 molecules of water in presence of sunlight and with the help of chlorophyll to form what? To form 1 molecule of sugar, that is your glucose, simplest form of sugar, plus 6 volume of oxygen gas. That's all for today's class, children. Thank you.